A detox generally takes a little bit of time to get going. If you've got a food sensitivity, now again, this is not hard and fast. We're dealing with living beings, all of which have had different experiences and a different way of arriving where they are. But as a broad rule, detox reactions tend not to start straight away. Now, a good parallel here is if you go to a health farm, or if you decide to do a kind of cleanse at home, and the first thing you do is cut out your food and you start fasting and you're drinking lots of water and you either eat lightly or not at all. For the first few days, everything can be okay. After that, you can start to break out in spots, go greasy. Very often, the skin, the same as in animals, is the largest excretory organ in the body. So it can start to chuck out all sorts of waste products. You can get diarrhea, you can get gunky eyes, discharges from the eyes, you can get runny nose or sneezing, you can start coughing up phlegm is a common one. We see this a lot when we take remedies ourselves, up our supplements, green catarrh coming up. Any way the body can get rid of waste products, it will do so in any kind of discharge or shedding of cells. Sometimes you get mucus in stools or occasionally blood, but generally it's mucus or sloppy stools. Usually there's an interim period and then it increases and it starts to decline. If you've got a food reaction, a sensitivity to an allergen, it tends to happen sooner, more or less straight away. Same as if you give a peanut to somebody who's allergic to peanuts, you'll get an immediate reaction. If you've got a dog that's sensitive to additives in food and you give them a doggy treat and they're sensitive to that, usually it's within a few hours. Maximum of about 48 hours, but usually it's few hours to 24 hours and they're already itching or having behavioral problems or something similar. So you tend to get direct allergenic reactions to ingredients pretty much in the first 24, 48 hours. The detox one takes a while to get going. First, you're taking away all the food that the dog normally processes. So the energetic resources the body usually spends on digesting and breaking down food, it's got at its disposal. It's not using it to digest whatever is being eaten. So it's got this extra energy. It's not having to break food down and excrete the waste products of that particular meal. So it's like it can go to the in tray that it's never got to grips with and start to clear out accumulated toxins and waste products stored in body fat and elsewhere. So it takes a little while for that detoxification process to mobilize. So that tends to come in a little bit later. It can be 3, 4, 5 days or even a week. And we had one recently. A lady went on the single protein turkey, doing great. The dog had lots of problems with his bowels, in this case, a boxer dog, going brilliantly. And then around about day 7 or 8, the dog started to chew its paws, just its paws, nowhere else. And we said, if you can, just give it 7 days, give it a week. And by the time 7 days had passed, the itching of the paws had gone completely. The bowels had settled down. And then we were able to move on to the next stage. Now, if we'd reacted to that, oh, crikey, this looks like a food reaction, the dog could well have gone on to another one and then started to detoxify. And it would have been chicken's no good, lamb's no good, and all the rest of it. And you can end up just going round and round. And then eventually you just run out of proteins and you've got no idea what to feed that dog. If there's been lots of drugs in the picture, lots of damage to the gut microbiome by antibiotics, all of which affects the body's ability to detoxify. It's like you've got all this rainwater coming down the roof, but the downpipes are blocked. So it's got nowhere to go. It's backlogged. And that can be the cleansing mechanisms in dogs that have had lots and lots of problems. But one thing we can do, if a detox reaction is suspected following the change of diet, is to give the detoxification support remedies that we produce, because that's formulated to open up the drainage channels in the body. So it acts on the liver, it acts on the kidneys, it acts on the skin, it acts on the bowel, it acts on the gallbladder. So if you open up those channels, it's like flushing the drain pipe that was blocked with leaves. If you take leaves out, it will drain much more easily and effortlessly.
Is that the intestinal cleanse or one?
Yeah, we don't separate them out now. The dual pack that used to be intestinal cleanse and organ cleanse is now one individual bottle. So it's called natural worm control and detoxification support. It's still got intestinal cleanse and organ cleanse on the front, but it's just one bottle now, and you give 2 to 3 drops of that 3 times a day for a week at the beginning of every month. But in a scenario like this, you would give 2 to 3 drops 3 times a day until the detoxification process is complete. And what you're doing is giving a helping hand to the body's cleansing mechanisms, so that you're making it easier and you're making it short. If the cleansing channels aren't fully open, then it becomes much more problematical and takes a lot longer. So that's one thing that can help. And it's another way of confirming that detoxification is taking place and not a food reaction. So if you start to see a reaction developing, itching and eruptions, and possibly with some bowel symptoms from 4, 5, 6, 7 days onwards, start to give the detox remedies 3 times a day. And if it is detox, in most cases, apart from the very severe, you should see things getting back to normal within 10, 14 days max. But you'd be looking for signs of improvement within the first 7 days. So that's a really good way of, first of all, discerning between the two, food reaction or detox, and secondly, actually assisting the detox process so it's shorter and the pet's more comfortable during it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
The temptation is to start adding things into the diet to help with detox. Now, the difference between adding in supplements, you're introducing other potential allergens into the diet at a time when you're still trying to determine whether a particular protein suits that dog or not. So it can complicate things, because if things get worse, you don't know whether it's because it was getting over the detox, but you've introduced a supplement which the dog might be reacting to, and it all gets very confusing and you have to start again. With the detox remedies, because they're botanical extract, it doesn't introduce that complication. So you're giving something which is facilitating the body's natural pathways, but you're not actually introducing an allergenic ingredient or a substance of food that is potentially capable of causing reaction. So that's why it's a safer way of trying to help the body and just clarify what's going on.